am doing the Key West Aquarium. Oh yeah. This is gonna be nice. It's 1935. So we got the touch tank. Got a little baby animals in here.
Getting some nice photos in?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that is a very nice camera.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Got some juvenile hermit crabs. I see some chocolate chip sea stars. And what else you got in here?
We got hermit crabs. We got some conchs. Like this guy hanging on the wall is a horse conch. He's always out of the water like that.
Oh, cool.
We got urchins in here too.
Yeah, I do see the urchins now. All right. All right. That's what a little conch looks like. Cool. The little horseshoe crabs are not even a year old yet. I just asked. This is a replica bull shark. And this is a tiger shark. We got some information for all of you people that like to read stuff. So there's two sides and more tanks in the center. So I'm going to start on the right hand side first. So a lot of these tanks are interconnected. So you got this double tank here. And here we're going to see a flamefish, Walper's branching sponge, spotted scorpion fish, sailor's choice, blue stripe grunt, Spanish hogfish, reef squirrelfish, black edge moray, flamefish. See the one guy here at the bottom. Looks like most of the fish are on the other side. Cute little guy there. The one is probably in the back hiding, since it specifies they're nocturnal, so you might be down that little cave. So the nocturnal flamefish is up on the top. And he's in one of the little holes, because one of the ladies was telling me about him. And the eel is underneath here, but he's in a spot where it wouldn't be showing up on the camera anyway. And this puffer is not on the list. Alright, next up is this double tank. Got white shrimp, Florida pink shrimp, and we got pilchard. So the pilchard and the shrimp. Got this double tank.
The Florida Keys.
Some gray snapper.
Come on now as we explore life. Begin our journey
Balloonfish.
to where you now shoreline.
Orange spot filefish. Redfin needlefish.
This turtle
horse conch.
named for the green turtle, bustling
French
community,
grunt.
green conchs, provided by
Florida
the
stone
mangrove
crab.
seagrass habitats that extend 10 inches down into the bottom, stabilizing and trapping sediment that would otherwise wash away. Their insides green. At first glance, it may appear there's not much activity. These outcroppings of coral, surrounded by rings of
Trying to find the crab.
occur in 10 to 20 feet of water. Brain coral and holes and caves develop within the reef structure.
I don't see him.
Like the green moray.
I'm sure he's in here still.
Caribbean slang.
Got this double tank.
Some orbit is home to the third Keys
Got
marine
my hat.
ecosystem. Many of the corals have any
Orange spot filefish. And Florida spiny lobster. But the spiny lobsters are very easy to notice. It's a good sized lobster. Some of the fish in the back. double tank. We got some pilchard. That's all these little fish right here. A whole bunch of them. They also have some coral that they are growing. Got this double tank here. Got yellow stingray. Blue striped grunt. Got white grunt. Got Atlantic spadefish. And occasionally see the same type of fish in multiple tanks. Now I also cannot guarantee that I'm going to see every single fish that's on the list. I look. Here's the other guy I was looking for. There we go. That's the one I was looking for right there. Got this nice double tank. I got bluehead reefs, blue parrotfish, red band parrotfish, stoplight parrotfish, princess parrotfish, striped parrotfish, queen angelfish. So lots of different parrotfish in here. That's a pretty colored fish. Alright, so you got some really big fish in here, so these guys get 4 windows. You got green moray eel. Got shoal master snapper. Cubera snapper. This size is green moray eel. Blue eyes. Breathing in, breathing out. This is the snapper. Wow. He's got some big teeth. Look at him. He turned for me. That's a big snapper right there. Alright, right in the center, got some sharks. Kind of hard to see them with the waterfall here. There we go. Trying to get a better view. I believe there's 4 of them in here. Alright, starting on the other side, got this first double tank. Showing you the bottom of what a lighthouse would be. Got a gray angelfish, Atlantic blue tang, got doctorfish, ocean surgeon, got banded butterfly fish, reef butterfly fish, 4-eye butterfly fish, gray angelfish. So, again, I have to try and look for these fish because they are all around the back. I'll probably hide behind the pillars where I just can't see them. There we go. Cute little fish too. Alright, so this next tank's gonna have lots of stuff in it, so there's 4. I got a blue boxfish, guinea fowl pufferfish, brown banded bamboo shark, flame angelfish, purple or yellowtail tang, yellow tang,
Coming to our shark conservation
flamingo tang, sailfin tang, brown tang, Pacific blue tang, Bursa triggerfish, Niger triggerfish, wedge-tail triggerfish, yellowtail damselfish, blue-green chromis, harlequin tuskfish, blue boxfish,
but it's important to really don't have any interest in humans. That being said, there are
cute little fish.
And that's I'm not judging. I've done it twice, and I've been bit twice. I didn't even get to feel it. It's bit. Now, that's why the CDC actually came out with a really good guideline for sharks.
There's a one shark in here.
It won't bite you.
Back end of the shark anyway.
So that's a little bit is not shark coated. It's actually something called bycatch. Now, sharks are incredibly lazy. Probably one of the laziest.
This.
Wish it was me.
Two separate tanks here. Got a harlequin basslet. Yellowhead reef. Chain link eel. Reef scorpion fish. Spotfin hogfish. Flamefish.
Other than that, though, that doesn't pretty much wrap up our shark conservation guide. And you have a chance to feed the sharks.
That's pretty color. See an anemone there also.
Questions, my name is Miles. I'll be happy to answer those questions for you.
That's the other side.
A little bit about sharks, why they're here, and how. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your time here at the Key West Aquarium.
I can see the eel. The eel's right there. Just moving. Next we got some jellyfish. These would be moon jellies. Next set of two tanks. Got some banded coral shrimp. Blue chromis, flamefish, doctor fish, cherub fish, royal grandma, rhino Blvd, four-eye butterfly fish, queen angelfish, rock beauty angelfish. There's a little pinner shrimp right here. That's the other side. I think a lot of fish on this side are hiding in the back. Next set of tanks. Some bubble tip anemone. Banggai cardinal fish. Pineapple coral. Duncan coral. Bubble coral. Pagoda coral. Clark's clownfish. We got some different anemones and the fish. Because a tank with just an anemone wouldn't be too exciting.
Good afternoon, investigation of the day, and that'll be our Atlantic Sharks presentation and take place on our outside porch. So if you want to learn about some of our great game fish, our grouper, our tarpon, and our jack, that presentation will start in just...
Alright, so this tank is not labeled for some reason. I don't think the screen is working right. But these look like clownfish. And then there's different variations of clownfish. Got this next double-sided tank. Got yellow stingray. Condi anemone. Atlantic guitarfish. That's stupid. You see the guitarfish on the left and the stingray on the right. They're both rather flat. They can cover themselves up with the sand in there. And that's the anemone. With this big giant tank. This is double-sided. We've got a giant isopod. Deep sea gigantism. And this guy's right here in the back. And this last tank is double-sided. With some spotted spiny lobster. Giant hermit crab, talented angelfish, rock hind, long spine sea urchin, condi anemone, and red lionfish. You can see the lionfish, very easy to notice them. There's the anemone. And there is the urchin. Another lionfish.
For sharks.
All right, here got this big outdoor tank.
Fishing and pole spear. Then we catch a shark.
And got a cow-nose ray. It's very, very windy out here.
The shark never has long-lasting injuries. That's why they're so great for sharks. The sharks never.
There's a conch right there also.
It's so important to promote the sustainable fishing practices. They don't take sharks out of our water, and at the same time,
think about having one of these guys for dinner.
Fishing practices.
Cracked conch.
We don't promote the unsustainable.
All along the side, top.
That's almost always come with some coffee.
The great hammerhead. The green sea turtle.
What's gonna happen when I go to pour this fish blood in the water?
That is awesome.
Nobody's seen Jaws.
Alright, now we got the Atlantic Shores exhibit. This is outdoors again. Got some tarpon. You can see them right there. Early in my day, I tried to go to feed these guys at Robbie's.
Thank you all for coming to our final presentation of the day. Once again, my name is Miles. I'm the educator here who's going to be telling you all about fish that's in front of our feet here. Now, this is a bit of a weird spot for our microphone, so if I ever cut out and you don't hear anything, feel free to ask me to repeat myself. I do not mind. I'd be happy to. Now, we see in front of me here is our Atlantic Shores exhibit. It is our 50,000 gallon exhibit meant to replicate exactly what you would find just off of our coast down here in the Keys. And right now, I'm trying to feed our Goliath grouper. Unfortunately, just about every other fish is trying to take her food, and I don't want to lose a finger right now. So we're trying to be very, very careful. Not you. Very, very careful. Now, we'll start with her. Hello. Cool. So, looks like she's swimming away. We'll just start from the top. Welcome, welcome everybody. Thank you all for coming to our Atlantic Shores presentation. Now, this is a presentation about just what you would find off of our coast down here in the Keys. And for that, we have to start with our mangrove. The mangrove is this big tree to the left of me here. This is called a red mangrove. It's one of the 3 mangrove that we have down here in the Keys. The other are going to be the white and the black mangrove. And they're really what have formed the Keys. This is what we blame for our entire island chain. It's because Key West actually used to be a barrier reef. During the last ice age, that barrier reef died, the water levels dropped. And then, as it started to warm back up, the trees, the mangroves, managed to land on top of where those corals were. Now, they grew this really big root system that you see and trapped a whole bunch of dirt. A whole bunch of dirt meant a whole lot more trees. More dirt, more trees, more dirt, more trees. And over a really long period of time, this is what we're standing on today, is actually just what these mangroves have created, and why mangroves are the island building trees. Now, the red mangrove here specifically is a pretty unique one amongst the mangroves. That's because it has a couple adaptations. This red mangrove is what lives just off of the coast, taking all of the wave action, while the other mangroves tend to hide behind it. So, to deal with this extra stressful environment, it has a couple adaptations. Its first one we're going to see are these weird appendages coming down its branches. These are called snorkels, and they actually operate a whole lot more like a straw. They actually suck up with the salt water. Now inside of our straw, we have a whole bunch of tiny little filter pads that actually filter out the salt. By the time our salt water manages to reach our main tree, our mangrove here can filter about 90 to 95% of that salt out, making it a rather effective filter. Now it does still leave 5% of the salt inside of the tree, and that's traditionally enough to kill the tree, because salt and plants, they don't tend to mix very well. So our red mangrove here has one more adaptation, and if we look throughout our foliage, you're going to notice a couple yellow or brown leaves. Well, these are called sacrificial leaves. What our mangrove does is it takes its oldest, least photosynthetic, and most damaged leaves and gives them that extra salt. That makes them get really heavy and wither away until they fall into the water, and they look a whole lot The ones that apparently got cleaned up though. These are from a grapefruit, a different tree, unfortunately. But they're usually in the water. Apparently I did my job really good today. But that's how it gets rid of that extra salt. Now the other two species of mangrove that I mentioned, the white and the black mangrove, they're a little bit different. They still use this snorkel system, but instead of giving the salt to their extra leaves, they actually secrete the salt on top of their leaves. That means if you lick the leaf, it will taste a little bit salty. That being said, please do not go around Key West licking leaves trying to find the salty one. That just can't be good for your health. Now at the bottom of our tree here we have our prop roots. That roots that we did all of that island building for us. But not only did they build the island, they're actually keeping it here. These roots are really great at preventing wind and water erosion here on our islands. And we can safely say without them, we would no longer be here. We would have never started and we would have never continued. Now that's pretty awesome for those roots, but they're doing one more thing for us too, and that's acting as a nursery. Lots of juvenile fish, like baby sharks, skates, rays, crabs, invertebrates, grouper, tarpon. I could talk for a really long period of time about all of the things that start their lives in the mangrove roots. And when all of those big things grow up, they go out onto our main reef, and this is really what's giving the next generation of animals to our ecosystems here. That's why it's a very protected area. Now, some of those fish that you might see that start in our mangrove roots are going to be these big ones in front of me here. And the first one I want to talk about is going to be the tarpon. The tarpon is that really big black silvery fish right, that just ignored the food I threw at it, right there. And they are what's called countershaded. Countershaded is when you are dark on top and silvery on bottom. What this means is if a predator looks at you from the top down, you can blend in with the shadow. And if a predator looks at you from the bottom up, you can blend in with the sunlight. Really what I'm getting at here is I really can't see them very well right now. They're doing a really good job. So I'm just going to throw in some food and hope that a tarpon. And there's your tarpon. Now tarpon are really, really interesting, not just because they're countershaded, but because they've actually adapted to breathe air. The reason they've done or how they've done this is they use their upturned mouth to gulp air at the surface and then they swallow it. Inside of their stomach, there's a special organ called a labyrinth organ that allows them to breathe that air. Now they evolved this for a very specific reason. They did this so they can hunt in what's known as low oxygen environments. And the best example we have of those is the mangrove roots. A common theme you're going to realize is everything does revolve around our mangrove roots here. Now, during low tide, our mangrove roots get really shallow, flat, and hot. And that means not a whole lot of oxygen can be in the water. Now, if you're a baby little French fry who's this big, that doesn't really matter. You don't need a whole lot of oxygen. If you're a 300-pound fish, however, well, you can't breathe in that environment unless you figured out how to breathe air. Now, you get exclusive hunting rights to all the baby little French fries when no one else can compete with you. So it makes it a really, really effective strategy. Now, the next big fish we're going to see here is going to be the Jack Crevalle. The Jack Crevalle is going to be that big silvery fish with the white line down its back, and it kind of looks like it's wearing blue goggles. The Jack Crevalle is a bit of a speed demon. They are considered a sprinter fish, and they can sprint anywhere between 35 to 40 miles an hour, meaning they would get pulled over for speeding in Big Pine. Traditionally, our Jack Crevalle are actually a pelagic species. And you might be wondering, well, Miles, you told me everything here revolved around the mangroves. Why do you have a pelagic species here? Well, actually, during the winter months, the Jack Crevalle comes into our coast to hunt along our reefs, and you guessed it, the mangrove roots. Jack Crevalle are really, really good at resisting changes to salinity, which is not very common for a pelagic species, meaning they are very well suited to hunting during high tide in our mangrove roots. There's not a whole lot of French fries that can beat a 40-mile-an-hour speed demon, so it turns to be a pretty effective method. Now, we do have a hidden rock star in our exhibit, and that's going to be our red drum. The red drum has a purple body, and a reddish fin around the sides of it, and it got the nickname of musicians of the sea because they can make a drumming noise. And then right over there, there's two of them right there. Now they achieve this drumming noise by smacking their swim bladder with a really special muscle, and it makes a drumming effect. Now they'll do it for a couple different reasons. They'll do it to ward off predators, attract a mate, and they'll do it to defend their territory. And if any of you guys get a chance to go scuba diving, snorkeling, or swimming with a red drumfish, I highly recommend you do not do that. It takes about 2 to 3 seconds before that drumming noise gets really annoying and you wish a shark would show up. The best place to find a red drumfish is going to be in between 2 pieces of bread at your local restaurant. It's even better after you've been on the reef for 6 hours and they've annoyed you the entire time, so you get right off the boat and go get a red drum sandwich. Speaking from experience. Now, here's one right there too. Speaking of delicious, we have our grouper. Our black grouper are going to be, they were hanging up on my feet in the beginning of the show. Black grouper are notable by having a black rim along all of their fins, and I think there's some over by you guys. And one right there in the corner who just stuck his head out of the water. That is Dennis. He's a special black grouper, but we'll talk more about him later. Now, black grouper are all over the place down here in the Keys. You'll find them in our coral reefs, on our seagrass beds, and you guessed it, the mangrove roots, because it always comes back to the mangrove roots. Now, once again, the best place to find a black grouper is going to be in between two pieces of bread at your local restaurant. But if you are going to order grouper while you're down here, make sure you're very careful. Ask the server where your seafood is coming from, because we've had a big problem with counterfeit grouper, which I think is the weirdest fish to counterfeit, but people are lying about it. It's very hard to identify a fish after it's been battered and fried. I'm a marine biologist and I cannot tell the difference. So, if you ask your server where the seafood is coming from and they can't tell you who caught that seafood, it's probably not what you ordered. And if you want to pay for grouper, you want to get actual grouper. So make sure that while you're down here, that you're doing that. Now, the last fish I want to talk about is another grouper, but this one is a special one. And when the Texans said bigger is better, they were absolutely correct, because her name is Gigi and she is a Goliath grouper. Now, Goliath groupers, they can reach sizes of anywhere between 800 to 1,000 pounds. 1,000 pounds is maybe a little iffy, but 600 to 800 and over 8 feet long. That is a massive grouper. Unfortunately, they are endangered, but they are a little bit of a conservation success story. Goliath grouper got in... Sorry, that distracted me. They got put under federal protection back in the 80s, and since then, they've had actually a pretty healthy recovery. Now, that was due to really heavy regulations, but now they've rebounded so well that we've decided to open up a mini season. That mini season started this year, and to be a participant of it, you have to apply. You have to pay a $75 application fee, and you might be the recipient of one of 100 tickets that we sent out this year. So only 100 of them get to be caught, but they come with a very special limitation, and that is called a slot size. What a slot size says is if it is this small or smaller, you can't catch that. There's no game in catching that small fish. But also, if it is this big or bigger, you have to put it back. And that's because the bigger fish are laying the most eggs, and it's by an exponential amount. A 200-pound Goliath grouper is going to lay about 100,000 eggs. That's a lot of eggs. A 400-pound Goliath grouper, twice as much. Well, you'd expect it to lay twice as much, right? No, it's going to lay 1 million eggs. It's going to lay 10 times as much. An 800-pound Goliath grouper, that really big monster, they're going to lay 10 to 15 million eggs. Those guys are really what's doing the heavy lifting when it comes to repopulating the next generation of Goliath grouper, which is something we certainly look forward to in our endangered species population. Now, all of those baby Goliath grouper, where they live, you guessed it, is the mangrove roots, because it always comes right back into the mangrove roots. Now, we've had this guy very patiently waiting this entire time. His name is Mr. Mooch, and he does not belong here. He does not belong to the aquarium, which is why we give him that name so endearingly. And he is a jerk. He pecks me all the time when I don't feed him, and he is why we like to tell people to not feed the wildlife. When they do make the association that humans equal food, they lose their fear of humans, and then they start pecking them. And by them, I mean me. He pecks me all the time, so I'm actually very scared right now. No. You can't have it. We don't want to reinforce that behavior, and unfortunately my ankles take a toll. Now, other than that, that pretty much does wrap up our Atlantic Shores talk. Hopefully this gave you guys a little bit of insight about what we have in just a couple inches of water down here in Key West. It is pretty cool if you ask me. If you can answer those.
See some of the fish over here in a lighter area.
The rest of your time down here in
Of course, there's a better view of the green sea turtle. Right out here, they got a Burmese python. He's an albino. You can tell by its white and yellow coloration. And it's got the red eyes.